Now let's turn our attention to West Africa. It's been an eventful week in Niger. The country was hit by a coup in the month of July, and now the junta is in charge. They seem to be employing two tactics against the West, almost like a carrot and stick approach. The carrot is reserved for the US and the American military operations in the country. The stick is for France. Now, before the coup, Niger was working with a host of Western nations like France, Germany, Italy, and the US. All of them had a military presence in Niger. The US has more than 1,000 soldiers in the country. They worked with other foreign troops and Niger's military. They fought terrorists in Africa's Sahel region. But on the 26th of July, all of this stopped. That's when the coup was announced. President Mohamed Bazoum was removed from power. He was imprisoned by Niger's new military leaders. So what did these foreign troops do? The foreign troops deployed in Niger, what did they do when the coup happened? Most of them stayed put in their bases. But that is changing now. Reports say American soldiers are back in action. They've resumed their activities in Niger. The US has apparently reached some sort of an understanding with the junta. So US troops are back to conducting drone and crewed missions. Last week, the Pentagon had put out this statement.
There is no perceived threat in terms of any threat to U.S. troops and no threat of violence on the ground. This is simply a precautionary measure. So what we're doing right now is the department is repositioning some of our personnel and some of our assets from Airbase 101 in Niamey to Airbase 201 in Agadez.
There was no perceived threat. The US troops just left Niger's capital, Niamey. They relocated to what's known as Air Base 201. This is in the center of Niger. And now the Americans are conducting intelligence and surveillance missions from here. They're back to tracking terrorists. But France has a different story to tell. France is in the line of fire of Niger's junta, and they're adamant. They say the French must leave their country. French troops must go. In fact, this has been the call since the coup took place in July. Niger has seen numerous demonstrations against France. French flags have been burnt. The French ambassador in Niger has been asked to leave. He hasn't yet. There are 1,500 French soldiers in the country. They're stationed in a military base near the capital, Niamey, and there have been regular protests outside this French military base with calls for the soldiers to leave. Despite all of this, France has stuck around. Last week, Niger's junta said they were given some assurances. They were apparently told that the French troops would be redeployed and there would be some withdrawal. But the junta voiced concerns on Sunday.
It should be pointed out to national and international public opinion that since the announcement of this withdrawal plan, France has continued to deploy its forces in several ECOWAS countries as part of the preparations for an aggression against Niger that it is planning in collaboration with this community organization. The CNSP and the transitional government denounce and castigate this lack of sincerity. These underhand, delaying tactics are designed to dull the patriotic ardor of the Niger people in their fight for the total withdrawal of French troops from Niger.
Niger's junta called France's tactics insincere and underhanded. When asked about the junta statement, this is what French President Emmanuel Macron said.
A coup since last July has been holding hostage a democratically elected president. France has a simple position. We are condemning it. We are demanding the release of President Bazoum and the rehabilitation of the constitutional order. We do not recognize any legitimacy in the statements of putschists. President Bazoum has not renounced to his power, and so, if we ever redeploy, I would do so only at the request of President Bazoum and in coordination with him, not with those responsible today for holding a president hostage.
While all this was happening, more trouble was brewing in Niamey. Niger's junta arrested a French official last Friday. He was a counselor for French citizens abroad, elected by the French citizens in Niger to represent their interests. The French Ministry of Foreign Affairs issued an alert on Tuesday. They demanded his release. The next day, the official was set free. This arrest had the potential to cause an escalation, but it seems Niger's junta did not want that. The arrest may have just been a warning, a reminder to France that things could get worse. So how will Paris react to this? Will Macron finally agree to leave, or will the move strengthen his resolve to stay? We'll find out in the days to come.